As an owner, one of the most powerful things you can do to level up your business is to buy back your time and hire. But when is the right time to make a hire? And who should be taken on as your first hire? My name is Jonas Olson, owner of Pest Badger, an 8-figure pest control business, and we've hired over 100 employees. We're going to talk about all these questions today, but I can tell you right now, your first hire is not a tech. Yeah, I get it. It looks good on paper and it sounds really cool to your peers that you're hiring a technician. Or maybe you're thinking you should just get out of the truck. These are the things that I hear all the time. But here's why a tech should not be your first hire. I agree, it does sound cool, but what adding another tech does not do is add revenue overnight. But what it does add is additional labor costs that you probably can't afford right now. One, you're adding payroll for an additional full-time employee. Two, in most cases, you're probably using a personal truck. So now you have to go about and buy an additional truck, get that fully equipped, which probably could add an additional $500 to $3,000 in cost right out of the gate. It also adds additional admin work for you. You're gonna have to train and trust this person for one. You probably don't have the time to find them. You're gonna need to put systems in place for paying them on time and tracking their hours, all by doing the tasks that you're already doing. So this is why hiring an admin is way more valuable, especially early on. So to put it simply, if you had your routes optimized, someone answering phones, doing sales, setting your appointments, you have more free time to produce revenue generating tasks. So let me show you an example. When you're in the field, you're earning $100, maybe $200 per hour doing the actual work. But when you're on the phone, scheduling, invoicing, ordering products, you're earning $0. So instead of hiring a $900 a week technician, what if you hired a $250 VA? That VA gives you back 10 to 15 hours per week. You use that time to do more jobs and you pocket the difference. So let's break it down. Let's say that VA gives you back 10 to 15 hours per week. So if you have 15 hours and you're making $200 per hour, that's $3,000 per week. Now you're less stressed, you're more profitable, and you're not losing leads to missed calls. I hear it all the time. The operators say they miss 5 to 10 calls per day because they're too busy working. They're down in a crawl space, they're up in an attic, they just can't answer the phone. And at this stage in business, the majority of your leads are probably coming from referrals, which close at a super high rate, around 80% or more. So that's missing 4 to 8 closes per day. And with an average contract value of $600 per year, that's $4,800 in yearly revenue that you're missing out on per day. That's $24,000 per week. And beyond that, what a really good admin will do for you is get you extremely organized. As entrepreneurs, we're typically not organized, especially if you're like me. I need people like this around me. An admin allows you to stay focused on the things that will help grow the business and will allow you to build a strong foundation to prepare your business for hiring more techs in the future. Think of it like as you're building a house. The first thing you would build is foundation. For the first month and a half, you really don't see anything. You're pouring the slab in the floor, you're putting up the blocks. It looks like you're not making any progress, but that is a necessary start for the structure to be sturdy later on in the future coming years. So this is actually the exact opposite of what I did, but I want you guys to learn from my real world experience, and it cost me a lot of money. I actually hired a technician first, and it was still chaotic. I was still doing the scheduling, still answering the calls, still running back from my inspections, running out to my truck, answering phones, listening to voicemails, trying to call them back right away. And my routing was still crappy, and it was just a nightmare. And it just cost me a lot of time. Whereas 3 months later, when I actually did hire that CSR, because there wasn't call centers back then, there wasn't VAs back then, I actually hired an in-person CSR that I taught to answer the phones, answer back to emails, and it saved me a lot of time and stress at night. And along with during the day, I wasn't jumping around. We had our routes figured out. And it just made everything a lot smoother and a lot easier going forward. And when I hired my first CSR, it freed up so much of my time in the field where it did add me those additional 5 to 10 hours, honestly per day that I was spending running around town, losing time and not producing any revenue. And then after hours, when I was answering emails and phone calls, and doing my routing, I bought back that time too, which also gave me more time to work on the business and not in the business. So what I mean by that is I got to spend more time on marketing and sales to help generate enough leads to hire that first technician that I really should have hired at that point. And having that extra free time at the end of the day is what allowed me to get the full value out of having my first technician. So it ended up working out. I just would not recommend doing it the way I did it because it did cost me a lot of money for the first 2 months until I hired that CSR. So now you know why the admin should be your first hire, and here's how to hire your first admin the right way. First, decide what type you need. You've got 3 solid options here, and each one has its advantages. First would be, just a local part-time CSR. 2 would be a VA, virtual assistant, and number 3 would just go get yourself a call center. The benefits of a CSR, of course, you see them face to face. Easier to scale into a full-time role as the business grows. With a VA, they're typically low cost and they're very, very eager to work. And with a call center, you really won't need to do much training. If you hire a really good company, they'll have proven systems, and they already have 95% of the skills. You just need to teach them about your business. With the call center, you typically pay, per volume or a time block of so many calls per week. For instance, there's companies out there like CallBoss that do this for you, and it's pretty inexpensive. For an entire week, you're looking at maybe $250 on average. And with these guys, you're never going to miss a call ever. All these options are extremely valuable. You just have to decide which one fits best for your business. Step 2 is just set up your budget. For a full-time CSR, paying $15, $16, $70 an hour, pay probably $500, $600 per week. If you're looking to hire a VA or a call center, you're probably $250 to $350 per week that are answering your phones all the time, but that's less than a termite job. If it was me personally, I'd probably go the call center or VA route. Slightly would lean towards call center right away, only because I had less training to do with them right out of the gate. Over time, I'd probably get another part-time VA. I wouldn't subtract the call center. I would just add a VA to help alleviate some of the calls and to train them up to the point where they could take over for the call center when we get to that point. So depending on which route you took, step 3 would be training. So if you went CSR or VA, you're gonna have to train these people. And I would start teaching them how to answer the phones first, and then doing your scheduling. You have to teach them how to quote jobs using your pricing sheet. Make sure to use call scripts, record your training videos, walk them through your CRM so they know every aspect of it. There's a lot of nuances to pest control or any other service business that you guys are coming from. It's gonna take a minute to get these guys or girls up to speed. You're looking at 2 weeks to a month. Just make sure you have a process. Make sure to give your CSRs like a cheat sheet that they can read off of for every part of the business, such as sales, service, or billing, so they can easily reference it so that they don't have to call you for every single call. Originally, you're going to be sitting with them for the first week or so, be on the phone with them a lot. It's going to take them a minute to get up to speed, like I said. But if they just start documenting every call that comes in, they don't have to call you every single time to get an answer. They can just look at the cheat sheet and answer the customer for the first 2 weeks to make it easy. Just remember that training is a process, but over time, the value will definitely outweigh the cost. Number 4, we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but teach them how to sell. Show them how to book inspections for like your bed bugs or bats or things like that. Give them the confidence to handle light objections, like I got to talk to my husband or wife, or the price is too high. And even give them the basics to upsell into your next package, whether that be mosquito or lawn care, whatever you guys do. Make it super simple. It doesn't have to be a hard sell, nothing like that. Just teach them how to sell so it saves you a lot of time. Remember that $4,800 example we went over earlier? Once you guys teach these CSRs how to sell, the upside is massive. Like we said, up to that $25,000 per week. Step 5 would be just to grow the role over time. Once they master the basics, they can even order products for you guys, plan your daily routes. They can request Google reviews, respond to reviews, and follow up with past estimates. There's plenty of work for the guys to do. They don't just have to save you time. They can start generating revenue. So I hope in this video we illustrated why hiring an admin is so important early on in your business and how they can add extreme amounts of value to it. Now I want to hear from you. What is the one thing stopping you from hiring a CSR or a VA right now? Drop it in the comments. I will personally respond to every single one. Seriously, you don't have to figure this out all alone. We're here to help. Every 6-figure pest control business out there started exactly right where you are today. They didn't get there by just working harder. They also got there by working smarter and hiring the smart people at the right time. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video extremely valuable, and I hope to see you guys in the comments.